have two dessert wines at Vino con Brio. We make a late harvest Zinfandel. Our first vintage was 2001, and this is a wine we don't get to make every year. Late harvests are tricky because you have to have extra grapes on the vine, you have to let them hang a while. If you get one bad rain or anything goes wrong, you might lose the whole crop. So they're always a gamble, but they're always worth it. So this is our third vintage of Late Harvest Matson. It comes from my grandmother's 66-year-old Zin vineyard, which is just 1.5 miles east of here. And we pick these grapes about 3.5 to 4 weeks after our primary Zinfandel harvest. And that way, with every day they get on the vine, they get a little riper and a little, they dry out a little bit. They don't turn completely into raisins, but they dehydrate, and that way the inside juices of the grapes just get really thick and rich and full of lots of sugar. So we ferment this, and then we stop the fermentation at about 5% residual sugar. So that's a little lighter than your average dessert wine, but it's still very sweet, still very much a dessert wine. 16% alcohol, so you don't want to drink too much of this baby. A half a glass will do you for dessert, but it makes a great pair for like everything from dark chocolate to berry-based desserts. And I'm not a big sweet tooth. I like it with really strong cheeses. It's a really nice contrast with some very intense, sharp, salty cheeses. Now the other thing we make is liquid gold, we call it. And this is one spare bottle we had floating around the back tasting room, but this baby sells out as soon as we get it out there. It'll be released in the fall again, our 2008 vintage, but it's Late Harvest Viognier. And it is liquid gold. It is like apricot honey, and it's super, super sweet. It's more like 14% residual sugar, so almost 3 times the sweetness of this guy. And it's thick and it's rich, and it just has this long, lingering finish to it. And I mean, you don't even need dessert with it. This in and of itself can be dessert. It's just amazing. And it's a really fun wine. We make this a little more consistently because Viognier tends to ripen earlier than Zinfandel. So while we may have to wait for Thanksgiving to pick the late harvest Zinfandel, we could pick late harvest Viognier in maybe early October and be fine. So it's less of a gamble, but it is to die